Be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com for 10% off on orders over $10 if you use promo code 6. Another way to support the show is by pressing that like button. Go on, do it. It's right there. Go ahead. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. What's up, Planeswalkers? Therik 6, back with more Ikoria spoilers and Commander 2019 spoilers, because this all wrapped up. I will admit that there's one amazing thing about the fact that these two sets are intertwined. And that is, we have spoilers on the weekend, right? Typically, set previews only occur during the weekday, which sucks. But they've essentially been doing the Commander spoilers on the weekend, which is awesome. Because now there's like no day we have to lose out on delicious, delicious spoilers. So thumbs up for me. However, thumbs down, because I still can't play these things in Brawl, which is frustrating. Regardless, Professional Stunt Performer is our only card from Ikoria today. This is a 3-mana 3/3 creature human soldier. As it enters the battlefield, choose odd or even. Professional Stunt Performer has protection from chosen converted mana cost. So this is very similar to Haktos, except Haktos 1 is random, and 2 has a smaller variety of things that can be hurt by. However, Haktos' mana restriction is significantly worse. You can disagree about like his stats and the fact that he has to attack every turn. But this is a very similar card. As someone who's always loved protection and was not happy when it was announced that it was going on hiatus for a while, I'm super stoked about this card. I think it's really interesting. I doubt it's going to see... Well, I was going to say that, and then I remembered this is a human. There might actually be a legitimate human tribal deck in Standard, and I think this is one of the ones where I could reasonably see it being played. 3-mana 3/3 has pro certain things. Yeah, I could see this being played, especially like if you choose odd, then you're protected from things like Banishing Light. You're protected from Oko's banned. Euro, 3 fairy, some 3-mana removal spells. Obviously, you still get hit by 2-mana removal spells, but I think that, you know what? The more I talk about it, I think I talked myself into thinking this is an alright card. Yeah, I like it. Onto the commander cards here. We have Martial Impetus. So the Martial cycle is actually very reminiscent of the Vow cycle from OG Commander, which I appreciate. However, there's one that we'll get to in a bit, which is just kind of strange. It's different from the other. So this one is a 3-mana white aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and is goaded. Cool. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, each other creature that's attacking one of your opponents gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So that's pretty dope. One of the things, obviously, is that you can enchant your own creatures, right? These don't have to be your opponent's creatures. So if you do enchant one of your own creatures, you're going to obviously give it the +1/+1. But you're also going to make it so that when you attack with that creature, the rest of your board gets buffed. Or if you give it to an opponent, that creature can't attack you, which is cool. And any other creature that they have that's attacking someone the hell else is going to get bigger. And that alone can be a sufficient incentive for certain decks, especially aggressive decks in Commander, to attack someone that isn't you. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. I'm going to be honest here, I like the fact that this art isn't just a bunch of browns, yellows, and grays. You got a lot of blues, greens, and reds in here, which is not white. I appreciate that. Verge Rangers. It's a 3-mana 3/3 human. First strike, you may look at the top card of your library anytime. Very interesting for white, but technically looking at the top card of your library, it doesn't need to fit a theme, fit a color, I think. As long as an opponent controls more lands than you, you may play lands from the top of your library. That's a good card. That's a good card right there. One, it's a 3-mana 3/3 first strike. That's helpful. The fact that you can look at the top card of your library anytime does do something. That is a non-zero mana. I mean, telepathy means it's technically 0 mana, but it's worth a card. And a card we're factoring in here, right? It's a non-worthless ability, we'll say. And if you're playing white, you're most likely going to be the fewest lands behind because you're not ramping like the green player. Which means you're going to be able to meet them at least land for land a lot of the time. I love this card. I'm probably going to try and find a place for it in my mono white Death and Taxes EDH deck, because I do just think it's generally a fine card. You know, slap a sword on it, it's pretty decent, but besides that, it is an on-color way to mitigate some of the natural ramp issues with white. White has had these constantly. As long as opponent controls more land than you can do something. We see that in the likes of Wayfinder. We see that in land tax. Cards like that are in White's slice of the pie, and I appreciate that they're bringing a little bit more of that to the fore and allowing us to have a decent card on top of that. The fact that you can do this works with some artifacts, but I'm not going to go over all of them right now because I don't remember them. I fucking love this card. Species Specialist. This is a favored enemy ranger. 4 mana for a 2/3 human warrior. As Species Specialist enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a creature of the chosen type dies, you may draw a card. I like that this is May. Thank you, Wizards, for giving us choices. It doesn't mean technically you can miss the trigger. I don't care. But it's awesome that this card doesn't have to choose a creature your opponent controls. Obviously, this is a human, so human warrior, unless you're playing human or warrior tribal, it does mean this card by itself isn't really going to count towards the tribal synergies. But if I put this in Gisa, which I don't think I will because the fact that black actually doesn't have very many issues drawing cards, especially black with zombies. But if I did, I could play it and choose zombies, and then whenever one of my zombies dies, notably it doesn't say non-token creature, I get to choose to draw a card or not. That's cool. I like it. 4 mana 2/3, a little on the frail side, but it's an assassin. It's meant to be a glass cannon. I like it. Also, the flavor text is Chef's Kiss. I don't have anything against Snapdax. Just more of a dog person. I love that flavor text. It's a cool card. I love it. Titan Hunter is a 5 mana 4/5 who wants her payment. Human warrior. At the beginning of each player's end step, if no creatures died this turn, Beast Hunter deals 4 damage to that player. You can pay 1 in the black, sacrifice a creature, you gain 4 life. 5 mana 4/5, each player's end step if no creatures died this turn. I don't know how strong this ability is. I'm trying to think of the games of Commander I play. There are a few turns where things aren't dying, but I feel like those are more often in the early game. So I don't know if by turn 5, you're not going to see things die. That said, her stats are fine for the cost, so I think honestly this might be fine in Commander. I don't think you would see it in one of the higher echelons of that rating system or whatever. But this is a solid 4 to 6, probably 4 to 6 card on a scale of 1 to 10. I love the art. This is Super Monster Hunter. She got this weird ass hook, pinion, blade thing, and also has a bunch of huge caltrops. I remember the word. It's fine. Psychic Impetus. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. The blue one giving a strong buff compared to the white one, which it's a weird look in my opinion, but whatever. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, you scry 2. Cool. That seems fine. That seems fine. That's literally it. Agitator Ant. This is a freaking red ass 2/2 3 mana ant. At the beginning of your end step, each player may put 2 1/1 counters on a creature they control. Goad each creature that had counters put on this way. This is very similar to a white card that does the same thing from I think Conspiracy, and you know what? There are fewer cards to go over today, so I'm going to look it up. Hashtag deal with it. This is very similar to a card that we saw the other day. It's a red card that plays into politics, and I absolutely love cards like that. Unfortunately, I don't love the fact that Scryfall refuses to load. Scryfall, buddy? You alright? Alright, whatever. I'm gonna go and move on, I guess. Daring Fiend Bonder. Dude bonds with demons. 4 mana for a 5/1 human warlock. I do love that warlocks exist in Magic now. Haste. Daring Fiend Blocker attacks each combat if able. 1 in a black. Exile Daring Fiend Bonder from your graveyard. Put an indestructible counter on target creature. Activate this ability only anytime you cast a sorcery. I don't think this card's good. Giving something an indestructible counter is, you know, it's good. 4 mana... Well, I mean, it does have haste. No, it's probably fine. It's just like... I think when I think of black cards, I'm like too focused in on my Gisa deck. Maybe this is good. The fact that you have to use it at sorcerer speed is fair. It's just 4 mana 5/1 with haste. I guess it's fine. In games of Commander, you're probably gonna have, but like on turn 4, or by the time you can play this, you're probably gonna have an opponent who has nothing, and that is just a chunk of their life total. So I think that's fine. You gonna load now? No? Okay. Glade Muse. Hooey. Some discussion on this card. This is a 3 mana, 2/4 beast. Whenever a player casts a spell, if it's not their turn, that player draws a card. When I first saw this card, I too was a little on the I don't know side. Mark Rosewater has put out a response to this on the blog, essentially saying this is sort of new territory for an ability. This is a universal thing, and I can't remember if he said green is primary or secondary in universal things. White is up there; it's either primary or secondary, but green is one of those in things that affect everyone equally. Green also has card draw tied to its creatures. The thing is, green is also, I think Mero said secondary in Flash. There might be primary in Flash, I don't actually know. In Flash creatures. So the justification is these are things that all have existed in Green's wheelhouse to some extent. They needed this card to fill a specific role, and so they decided after long debate that this card deserves to be printed. I think after really thinking about that response, I'm okay with it. But I don't like it has a moose face. Look, it's different. What's nice is that this card doesn't feel super broken. If anything, I feel like this card is not going to see very much play because of the amount of extra advantage you can give someone else, right? The fact is, like, if you play this on your turn, it's not super likely that you're going to be able to be the one who capitalizes off of it first. So I don't think that this is necessarily going to be a super played card. Like, it's not going to be everywhere like Beast Within is, and Beast Within is an egregious example of a color pie break. So I think at the end of the day, it's fine. Let me know what you think, though, because I don't, I'm just a dude. Okay. It was white. It was only white. And it was from one of the conspiracy sets. I don't remember which one. Do I have to really type freaking conspiracy? Conspiracy. I don't remember which. It's a creature. That's something I know. I hope it was from Conspiracy. If not, then I'm just like a sad man. Manascape Refractor. A lot of discussion on Twitter. Vince, also known as Pleasant Kenobi. I saw a thread of his with someone who had a really hot take. Manascape Refractor is a 3-mana artifact. It enters the battlefield tapped. It has all activated abilities of all lands on the battlefield. Not just yours, and not just mana abilities. All activated abilities of all lands on the battlefield. You may spend mana... Scryfall, get on this. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to pay the activation costs of Manascape Refractor's ability. Now this is super interesting. One, obviously you can copy dump stuff like Guy's Cradle and Cabal Coffers. Whatever. But it also means that if your opponent has something like a Volrath Stronghold, right, you can then have a Volrath Stronghold of your own. No, Volrath Stronghold, is that the one that's specifically for zombies? Whatever. You get access to, like, if you're going up against someone who has that Sunken Academy, I don't remember the actual name of it. You can have that. I think this card is decently strong. And one of the places that I think this card is decently strong in, especially, is mono white, as well as mono red. The reason for that is, with mono white, This potentially gives you the advantage of stealing big mana generation from your opponents. Now, obviously, if you have something like Cabal Coffers, it's not going to help you unless your opponent already has Yawgmoth or Urborg. If your opponent has Guy's Cradle, obviously you are going to make green mana. Sure, whatever. But still allows you to get stupid large resources from really great lands that your opponents might have. And additionally, it's just extra, like, Nykthos, right? Like, you have a Nykthos. This is a second copy of Nykthos. That's not bad. Like, that's actively good. And then, of course, Mono Red, because Mono Red likes to untap artifacts. Please. It's not you. I thought it was you. No. No. I don't remember the card. Fuck. Maybe it was a Commander product. Alright, real talk. I'm going to look it up after this video, after I finish recording this video, and I will post a link to it in the description of this video, because I am annoyed that I can't remember what it is. Beast Without. Great name. 6 mana for a 6/6 beast. Has trample. Whenever this creature mutates, destroy target non-creature permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. It mutates for 3 and a green. This is This is a response to Beast Within. This is what Beast Within's text essentially should say. Destroy target non-creature permanent. Green can blow up lands, artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers. It's fine. Well, technically, it doesn't like directly destroy planeswalkers, but green is allowed to destroy planeswalkers. One thing they're not allowed to do is just straight up destroy creatures unless they have flying or they use a creature of their own to do so. This is what it's supposed to do. I will say I love that it's a 6/6 beast. It would go in Mael, except you have to mutate it. Although depending on how many good mutate cards that kind of fit the criteria, maybe I'll have a tiny sub theme of mutation. Who knows? Don't know. Don't care. Predatory Impetus. 5 mana to give +3/+3, must be blocked, and is goated. But why does it have to be 5 though? I mean, obviously, this is potential removal spell, right? You put this on a big creature of your opponent's. Not only do you not have to worry about it attacking you anymore, but now it has to be blocked. You know, your opponent's over here leaving behind a bunch of dirtly dudes meant to use activated abilities and stuff. Nah, use them on your turn, and or before I attack, or you gotta block. Deal with it. But it costs 5 though. It costs 5 whole mana. That investment sucks. I would much rather have seen this card also cost 3, and then make the buff smaller. Maybe even just don't make it like have any toughness boost. I don't care. But 5 mana for this ability when the other ones cost 3, or I think maybe one has 4. It makes me sad. This one, for what it's worth, like, doesn't... It doesn't. Phoenix Sortfeu. Cycling Bird. 5 mana for a 4/2 Flying Phoenix. When it enters the battlefield, return target instant or sorcery card with Cycling from your graveyard to your hand. At the beginning of each end step, if you cycle 2 or more cards this turn, return Cycling Bird from your graveyard to your hand. This card is cool. Also, the art is fantastic. Svetlin Velnov did a great job. I should just start playing Arena in French. Because when I first saw this spoiled, I did read it in French before I looked at the thing. And I was very happy that I actually got the translation right. Selective Adaptation. First, before I talk about the card, I want to draw attention to this great art. It could be this Jaguar thing. Could be gaining wings, horns, or multiple eyes. I love it. The card, though, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't think it's very good. Selective Adaptation is a 6 mana sorcery. Reveal the top 7 cards of your library. Choose from among them a card with flying, a card with first strike, and so on for double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, trample, and vigilance. Notably, there are more tags on this than there are cards that you're revealing. I would have preferred if you reveal a number of cards equal to the number of tags. Of abilities. Whatever. Put one of the chosen cards onto the battlefield, the other chosen cards into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. I have played extensively with Call the Gatewatch, I believe is what it is. The 6 mana one. whatever the Planeswalker equivalent is of, like, your reveal, I think it's 7 even, and you get to, like, have 2 Planeswalkers or something into play. I play a deck with, depending on the exact time, 25 to 30 Planeswalkers. The amount of times that whiffs is too damn high. If you're playing a deck with, let's say, 30 creatures, let's get even further than that. 35 creatures. All of them have at least one of these. I don't know the math on how often you're going to actually get a worthwhile number of cards. 6 mana sorcerer speed. Like, the thing is, you get a creature onto the battlefield. One, if you don't whiff, obviously. But you do potentially get a creature on the battlefield. I just don't like the randomness of this card. When I would rather just play, not even Tooth and Nail. I don't play that in my L, even though it makes sense in my L, because I don't like the card. It leads to repetitive play patterns. I don't want it. But I played Rishkar's Expertise, See the Unwritten. I actually stopped playing See the Unwritten because that was also quite not likely to hit things. See the... I just want to make sure I remember. Reveal the top 8 cards. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest in your graveyard. You may put 2 cards. So this is essentially the commander version of, or the creature version of the thing I was talking about before. This is no restriction on the creatures you can get in a deck that ran Mael, in a deck that ran 32 to I think 38 was the max that I had in Mael before. I would consistently whiff with this card, and I don't like it. Like, it's just such a feel bad. I think that, oops, the ceiling here is much lower. The floor is, I think, the same place. The ceiling here is much higher. I don't know if the extension of the ceiling, let's say, is sufficient to make me want to play this card. Haldan, Avid Arcanist. Dude is like rocking the dad bod, which I appreciate. 3 mana, 1/4 human wizard, partner with a dog. I'll talk about in a second. You may play non-creature cards from exile with fetch counters on them if you exile them, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. Okay. You can cast non-creature spells from exile only if you were the one who exiled them and they have fetch counters. Okay. So 3 mana, 1/4. What does this have anything to do with, like, fetch counters and shit? Well, that's where his buddy comes in. I love this thing so much. It looks so dorky. It looks like it looks like an elemental Rottweiler. I guess the color's too different. The mug really looked Rottweiler to me. For what it's worth, I like Rottweilers. In general, they're very cute dogs. This is a 5 mana. This is Paco Arcane Retriever. 5 mana for a 3/3 haste. Kind of weak stats in my opinion, but whatever. Whenever Paco attacks, exile the top card of each player's library and put a fetch counter on each of them. Put a 1/1 counter on Paco for each non-creature card exiled this way. Notably, this is non-creature card, so he gets bigger from lands. Obviously, this resolves before you actually have to go to blocks. So this card probably fine. It is each player's, so you do get to choose your own cards as well, which is nice. Notably, on Haldan, you may play non-creature cards. You can play lands from this. It's not bad. My only issue is I really like when partners are 1 mana apart from each other, right? And we saw some of that with last episode, which I'm probably gonna do in a second. But this costs 3. Paco costs 5. Paco probably would be too good at 4. Haldan would need a bit of help at 4. This one's fine. They're not too far apart. But so let's see. One I talked about last time was you and your Wolfman. Yeah. So Wolfman, right? This is the main one I wanted to talk about. Is a 3 mana card that can't be blocked, and Kezer, his buddy, is a 4 mana card that cares about when creatures deal combat damage. So they go together so well, right? Because you want to play the 3-drop, and then the very next turn, when it can attack, you play the 4-drop. But these two don't work as well as the other ones, just because you have to wait a turn with Halden being alive, unless you play Halden on turn 4, which is fine. But this is a teamer deck, and this is a really awesome potential combination if you don't want to play, what is the name of that card? The Maelstrom Wanderer. But you want to have kind of a chaos deck, right, in teamer colors. You can do that with this group, and I think it's a really interesting way to do it. The commanders work really interestingly, but you don't like have to play into the commanders. You obviously can put like the Maelstrom Wanderer in the actual deck. You have a bunch of interesting things to play in these colors, obviously, with random elements and things. So I really appreciate that potential design for a build like that. Now, here's where I want to talk about this garbage. 3 mana, Parasitic Impetus. This is the only impetus that actively discourages your opponent who has this creature from attacking. Enchanted creature is +2/+2 and is goated. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, its controller loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. None of the other ones. The white one buffs the rest of the team. The blue one lets you, the player who owns the aura, scry 2. Skip the black one. The red one gives you a treasure, and the green one forces someone else to block. This is the only one that actively discourages the player whose creatures this is enchanted on from attacking. That makes no sense to me. If it was defending player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life, sure. Would it be too good? Probably. Just make it 5 like the freaking green one. Why? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Like, the creature can't attack you anyway. You want these to not only make it so they're not attacking you, but you actively want to get the trigger, and you want the animosity to build between the other players. And you can't do that if your opponent is going to have any negative consequences. People in EDH will attack someone else because the first player they're going to attack has a ghostly prison, right? And even if they can attack with a couple of creatures there, they want to like keep their mana open. They want to play an additional spell. So they'll attack you instead. People won't attack with this. I'm so upset by this. Honestly, I would have preferred if this said, like, had no loss of life and you just gained 4. 4 might even be excessive. Make it... 4 is not excessive. If this just said gain 4, it'd be so much better. Like, the fact that it forces an opponent to lose 2 is so annoying. No capes. No capes. 4 mana instant. If you control your commander, you may cast this card without paying its mana cost. Exile target creature. Yeah, I mean, that seems good. What is exile removal? Only hits creatures, which is unfortunate, but not everyone's playing Orzhov, so it's not like you can just play Anguish Unmaking necessarily. It's black exile removal. Not bad. Akim, the Soaring Wind. 5 mana for a 3/4 flying bird dinosaur. Whenever you create 1 or more creature tokens for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. For 6 mana, 3 red, blue, white. Creature tokens you control gain double strike until end of turn. It's a bird commander. I assume this is going to like replace Derevi in some bird commander decks because people don't like playing against Derevi, and you will be targeted if you play Derevi. 5 mana for a 3/4 is not the best. Bird dinosaur is hilarious because birds are dinosaurs. Yeah, it's fine. It's also just like a creature token commander, which is cool. I love the art by Jesper. So good. I will say I don't know the connection between these cards, though. Trin, Champion of Freedom, is a 4 mana, 3/3 human soldier. Partners with Sylvar, Devourer of the Free. I don't know if the Champion of Freedom should be palling around with the Devourer of the Free. At the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, create a 1/1 human soldier creature token. Sure. First of all, great art. I love it. It's evocative for me of Innistrad. Innistrad has great art, great clothes. Sylvar is a 5 mana 4/2 cat nightmare with Menache. Sacrifice a human. Put a +1/+1 counter on Sylvar. It gains indestructible until end of turn. I see the technical connection. The mechanical, I should say, connection. Also, it's 4 mana into 5 mana. Love it. But why would the Champion of Freedom be hanging around with this? And maybe they're going to explain it like this Sylvar follows Trin around or something, and Trin like doesn't know it, or like I don't fucking know. It's a cool mix, but I'm confused. Cartographers Hawk is a 2-mana 2/1 bird with flying. When Cartographers Hawk deals combat damage to a player who controls more lands than you, we're seeing that ability again. Return it to its owner's hand. If you do, you may search your library for a plains card and put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. This is something White can do. I love this card. It kind of sucks that it's every... Depending on how much mana you have, you are going to start out getting this ability essentially every other turn, and then you can get it every turn. It is kind of a mana investment. You have to be able to actually hit someone, and that person has to have more lands than you. But if you have something like Lightning Greaves, that's fine. You can essentially keep getting it in. Yeah, no, I like this card. What's really nice is that you can use this as effective ramp. Let's say on turn 2 you play this, and you didn't go first, or maybe one of your opponents ramped on turn 2. You can, before you play your land, even if you have it in your hand, attack with this first, get that land tapped, and then play another land. Either play this again, or play a 3-drop. Maybe even you play 2 mana for an Arcane Signet. You have that 1 extra mana. You have the Arcane Signet, you play this. Bada bing. You have 4 mana, a bird, and an Arcane Signet. And if you are going against a player who's ramping, by your next turn, they might have 5 mana. Attack again. I like this card. It is potentially slow, and it obviously as a 2-mana 2/1, it's not the greatest of late game picks, but it does thin your deck in your 100-card deck, and it wears swords very well, which I like, because I play swords. Now, my name is hard to say. This name is hard to say. Xeris, the Writhing Storm. Oh my god, like fucking snakes are like being birthed out of it or something. It's horrifying. Unless those are just its little companions. It is a 5-mana 3/5 Flying Snake Leviathan for Teamer. Whenever an opponent draws a card, except the first one they draw on each of their draw steps, create a 1/1 green snake creature token. Okay. Whenever the Withering Storm deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. This is a very, very interesting political tool. You get to have snakes. You get to potentially wheel and deal with an opponent where you're like, I'll attack you because I need to draw some cards. You need to draw some cards. I'm also cheekily getting in some damage in there. And there are plenty of ways, especially in blue, or red even, or even green, that just say, nah, you don't get to draw extra cards. It's very interesting. But also, this works really well with wheels. Things like Wheel of Fortune. Where I'm actually just going to go ahead and Wheel Fortune. I did Fort. I have big fingers, alright. Wheel of Fortune. Each player discards their hand, then draws 7 cards. Okay, well let's say you have Xeris out, then you play Wheel of Fortune. Okay, notably this is your turn. Okay, your opponents are drawing cards that aren't the first one they drew each turn. If you have a typical Commander game of 4 players, that's 3 of your opponents drawing 7 cards. That's 21, count them, 21 snakes immediately. With which you can do whatever. I'm curious to see the distribution of snakes in Magic. My bet is that a decent number of them are going to be black. So we have a smattering of blue, pretty small. Not surprising anyone. Decent amount of black. A single red one, but it's old. A lot of green, which makes the most sense. Snakes are super green. Then, of course, you have the Kamigawa snakes. But I'm interested in seeing the multicolor snakes. We've got this thing, which is actually not very good. Couple of... Oh, just a single black-green snake. A lot of blue-green snakes, though. A lot of blue-green snakes. So yeah, you could even just have this as a snake commander. The issue is that, like, the red is what you're missing. Like, I think a Sultai snake commander would be better. Yes, I'm still watching YouTube, you piece of shit. Yeah, it's cool. Cap 3-Corn is an X green goat hydra. It's a 0/0. It enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. It makes sense. 2 mana. Put a 1/1 counter on Cap 3-Corn. You may reselect which player Cap 3-Corn is attacking. Only a player being attacked by Cap 3-Corn may activate this ability, and only during the declare attacker step. It can't attack its controller. Essentially what this card is a hilarious card in which you attack someone. They're like, yeah, I'd rather not deal with this. I'm going to pay 2 mana, make it bigger, and attack you instead. And that person's like, I'd rather not. I'm going to go and pay 2 mana. You know, we'll throw it to that third player over there. Third player's like, whoa, what have I done? Pay 2 mana, put it at the first person again. First person's like, it's bullshit. That was even bigger. Pay 2 mana, we're going back to player 2. And player 2's like, oh, come on. And now they're vindictive. Pay 2 mana, that's their last 2 mana. They go back to player 1. Player 1's like, now it's 5 more power. Oh, it's great. One glaring weakness with this card.
No trample.
You need a way to give trample. Otherwise, I'm going to just be chump blocked like all day. Other than that, though, freaking awesome card, and I love it. Call the Coppercoats. 3 mana for an instant. Strive. Strive coming back. Not actually coming back, but it's whatever. This spell costs 1 and a white more to cast for each target beyond the first. Choose any number of target opponents. Create X 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of creatures those opponents control. So, this is instant. Let's say you have one opponent attacking you with a bunch of 2/2s or something. I don't know. You cast this card. You get a number of blockers sufficient to block their cards. But let's say you have 5 mana. You're going to choose that person, and you're going to choose the person over there who happens to have 5 extra creatures lying around. 2 mana for 5 more 1/1s, that's probably fine. And now you can actually double block some of the creatures and kill some of them. Cool. I think this card's interesting. Unfortunately, it does depend on your opponents, so I don't think it's actually very good. Barracuda de la Meyer. Title Barracuda. This doesn't look like a Barracuda to me, right? Barracudas are super, like, thin fish, right? Barracuda. Aren't they, like... They're like super streamlined fish. This looks not streamlined. This looks more like a shark to me. But, 4 mana for a 3/4 fish. Any player may cast spells as though they had flash. This works really well with the 3 mana card from earlier. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Get fucked. So, essentially, it's very similar to like Grand Abolitor and stuff. It's just like, not only am I going to give everyone the option to cast spells during everyone's turn, you can't do it on my turn. Go away. It's great. I love this card. This card I think is actually like straight up stun playable in Commander. It's great in combo decks where you want to be able to protect yourself from things like counter magic, and it's just generally good in creature decks that you don't want to deal with your opponents doing nonsense. Jannik, Scavenging Sentinel, is a hyena beast. This is a 2 green-white for a 3/3. It partners with Nikara. It has Vigilance. Whenever it enters the battlefield, exile another creature you control until Jannik leaves the battlefield. When you do, distribute X 1/1 counters among any number of target creatures where X is the exiled creature's power. Okay. Sure. Nikara. Menace. Whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had 1 or more counters on it, you draw a card and lose 1 life. What's nice is that this is a 3 mana card into a 4 mana card. Cool. 1 has Menace, 1 has Vigilance. Cool. My thing is, this only happens on ETB. So, like, you kind of want it just to die more so that you can get more triggers and stuff. You're not playing Bounce in black, green, white. You maybe are playing some Flicker, since white has a decent access to Flicker, but I don't really get it. I will say, I absolutely love the art of these cards. She looks so fucking cool. That's what I like to call my aesthetic. Fire Flux Squad. What, we some sort of Suicide Squad? 4 mana for a 4/3 haste human soldier. When it attacks, you may exile another target attacking creature you control. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Notably, this does not remove the creature at end of turn or end of combat or whatever. You just get to upgrade a creature. Notably, right, you could have the potential to hit another Fireflux Squad. Sure, whatever. Well, not in Commander. I'm thinking about... Right, you can't play this in Historic. Son of a bastard. Never mind. You can still technically play a deck that includes only a bunch of, like, super cool big cards. Like, insert any number of Eldrazi here. Or dragons. Or artifact dudes such as Blightsteel Colossus, let's say. And then you can run a bunch of token creation spells so that the only creatures that you're going to be exiling with this are tokens, which means you're almost certainly, if you built your deck properly, going to hit a dumb big chungus. But man, wouldn't it be cool if you could play a combo deck like this in Historic, where you have these in a bunch of token creators, and then you have just some big chunkuses. Man, wouldn't that be swell? I'm not upset, you're upset. 4 mana, artifact for Lava Brink Floodgates. Tap to add red to your mana pool. It doesn't come in tapped. You get a 2 mana rebate immediately for playing this card. Love it. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may put a Doom counter on Lava Brink Floodgates, or remove a Doom counter from it. Then, if it has 3 or more Doom counters, sacrifice it. When you do, it deals 6 damage to each creature. It's more politics in my red. I love politics in my red. It makes me want to build politics red, but I also want Italy. I want to play Italy, but like they keep printing cool political cards in red, and I just love the idea of like a mono red deck that isn't herder aggro. It's just like something where like you're really getting intergroup relationships going on. Like I really like that stuff in my commander. I know some people don't. They don't like the political aspect. I love it. And I love this card. Herald of the Forgotten. I just realized this is not Duel's music. Get the fuck out of here. Herald of the Forgotten is an 8 mana 6/6 Cat Beast Archon. Has flying. When Herald of the Forgotten enters the battlefield, if you cast it, return any number of target permanent cards with cycling abilities from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's decently strong. I do wish it had cycling itself, because in my opinion that would make a little bit more sense for the whole like if you cast it part. But you know they don't want you to be doing bleak shenanigans, and I get that. It costs 8 mana, which is a lot, but if you're playing a deck that's devoted to cycling, just you know being able to get back some nonsense is pretty dope. I'm actually going to try and remember to look up some of the creatures with cycling to see what the main colors are for them. Because I feel like black has a lot of good cycling creatures, but I could be super wrong. Do I want to say anything else about this? Oh, love its horns. Wait. I get that it's a cat beast. Why can it fly? Why does it have wings? That is not technically just a thing for beasts. Yeah, you know what? It's fine. I want more beasts in my Magic. Like, I doubt I'm going to play this in my L. But technically it is a flying beast, which means I might play in my L, just because my L does not have a lot of flyers, because I'm not over here just playing Avacens and freaking dragons and stuff. I'm over here playing a theme deck of worshipping, like, the wilderness and beasts and stuff, and people are over here, oh, I'm just going to play freaking big-ass dragons and shit. I hate you. You make my L have a bad name. Dismantling Wave. This card is stunk. I'm going to be putting this in so many white decks. It's a 3-mana sorcery. For each opponent, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment that player controls. Because this is up to, you get to choose. And because this is up to, some of your opponents are going to be like, you don't have to destroy this. So you can't just say, but, you know, I have to destroy 1 for everybody, you know, like... It's political a little bit. It's not super political, but there's some of that. And I absolutely love that. But... if, once again, you're playing... it's a sorcery, so blah, blah, blah. But if you're playing in a game with 3 players, you're almost certainly going to have a target for this, for each player. 3 mana to blow up 3 things, 3 mana for a 3/1 is crisp. When you cycle Dismantling the Wave, destroy all artifacts and enchantments, okay, it blows up your own stuff, but you get to draw a card and blow up everything. Well, how much does cycling cost? Oh, it costs 8. It's a 6 white. That's a lot, but if you're going up against an artifact deck and an enchantment deck, you can maybe wait. Like, if they don't have their keys out yet, you can wait, and you can cycle at instant speed. That'll get them. It's a cool card. I plan on trying it out in a lot of my white decks. Fluctuator is a reprint, but I wanted to talk about it because apparently it was like $30 before this announcement, and now it's down to 20, but it's going to drop even more. And this is awesome. It's just a 2-mana artifact. Cycling abilities you activate costs up to 2 less to activate. It's cool. I'm glad that this card has been reprinted, and I didn't even know. Crystalline Resonance is a... Did I say crystalline? Crystalline or crystalline. 3 mana enchantment, blue. Whenever you cycle a card, you may have Crystalline Resonance become a copy of another target permanent until your next turn, except it has this ability. It's any permanent. It still has the ability. I like it. It can turn into a big thing to rival your opponent's big thing. It can turn into an extra copy of a artifact that you need to combo with. It's cool. It's cool and I like it. Dredge the Meyer is a 4-mana sorcery. Each opponent chooses a creature card in their graveyard. Put those cards on the battlefield under your control. It only costs 4 mana. Right. I think this card has a lot of potential. Because people aren't playing, unless they're actively trying to, they're not playing bad cards in Commander. Right. Even if you end up getting a Steve, a Sakura Tribe Elder, I'm trying to just think of like random cards that you might see. Oh sure, like maybe there's a bird tribal deck and they give you a Imperia Eagle. So you get a Steve, an Eagle, and someone has to give you a Solemn Simulacrum, right? For 4 mana, you got a good deal, right? I think that even though they get to choose, it's decent, man. It seems decent. Just make sure someone doesn't have a Phage the Untouchable in their graveyard, because that would suck for you. But no, I think this is pretty interesting. I don't know if I can justify putting this in Rexial, because I don't think this is Lovecraftian enough. This one looks like it has a tentacle, but I'm pretty sure that's a tail. They're just kind of like undead, and there is a bit of undeath and Lovecraftian stuff, but usually it's because of like either super warping. Well, there's the crystal aspect, and that does have like kind of color from the sun vibes, or the color of space vibes. I don't know. I'll have to consider it. My Rexial deck, for those of you who don't know, is a Lovecraftian theme deck, and whenever I make a theme deck, I try to actually like justify every card except for basic lands, and sometimes I'll have to, in order to make the deck work, I usually allow a limit of like 5-ish cards just to make sure the deck runs smoothly. But I'll have to decide. But I do honestly think that this is a really strong card, even though they get to choose. The issue is, when you only have 1 or 2 opponents left, it does diminish the ability a little bit. But there are plenty of cards where you can selectively choose to remove things, and you might be able to... There's probably going to be more great situations than super bad. Souvenir Snatcher is a 5-mana 4/4 flying bird. Has mutate for 6. Whenever this creature mutates, gain control of target non-creature artifact. You get to steal artifacts. It's cool. Are there any references in here? I can't notice any if they're supposed to be. Unfortunately, Kevin drew these very gray-brown, so I can't really distinguish between them, unfortunately. I mean, you see like an axe and a couple different swords, a spear, some helmets, but I can't see if there's anything particular in there. I don't think this card's very good. And the last card for today, once again on new spoilers because it wasn't anywhere else. Twinning Staff is a 3-mana artifact. If you would copy a spell 1 or more times, instead copy it that many times plus an additional time. You may choose new targets for the additional copy. 7 and tap. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Notice that when you're paying 7 mana, it's not just to copy the spell once, it's to copy the spell twice. Because if you would copy a spell, you copy it again. So this card is obviously sweet, super cool, only costs 3 mana. Obviously it does need you to be copying things multiple times, but there have already been a bunch of things in here that care about spell copying. So my Spell Riku deck has just been like salivating. It's like, oh, finally, Justin might actually finish making me. I have not finished making Spell Riku. Creature Riku technically is in a playable state. Spell Riku has not been in a playable state since a single year after, after that set of commanders came out, which I think is the first one. I'm a bad person. But Creature Riku was always a little bit more interesting to me because it just essentially just clones my opponent's creatures if I don't have one of my dumb creatures out. And I'm not playing like dumb Eldrazi and stuff. Like I'm playing like Phytohydra. It's not Phytohydra. It's Spawnwraith. Spawnwraith can get out of control real fast. So I like just copying this shit out of Spawnwraith. But still, this card's super cool, super interesting. What does Bo say? Doesn't it enable infinite combo with any instant copy spell? Sure, you need War Ral or the new dinosaur on the battlefield in order to actually get something from that, but it can be a if I don't win, no one does button. Does it copy any? So let's say you have this on the field. You have the 4-mana Ral from War of the Spark. And you cast Brainstorm, because I didn't want to think of anything. Then you pay, if you would copy a spell. No, you use Ral's ability to copy the next spell. But yeah, that wouldn't work. If you, with any copy spell. Oh right, you can choose new targets for the copy. Okay, yeah, so you play expansion. No, that just copies the Brainstorm. So you have to have 2 copy spells at a single time. So it's not any instant copy spell. You have to have 2 copy spells, I think. You have to copy a copy spell. But as soon as you do that, yes, that would technically go infinite. Yeah, I could have just scrolled down. But yes. I feel stupid. With 10 mana, you could cast a single 2 CMC copy spell like Fork, targeting a bolt or cantrip, since that second ability on staff is a copy spell. Sure. Regardless, whatever, potentially it does. I was going to search for cycling creatures. I was going to see what the colors of creatures were that had cycling. Shut up. Shut up. And then, of course, we're going to sort them by... Oh my god, there are not many of them. There are not as many creatures as I thought. So, like, this one's decent. And I'm actually just going to see, like, how many of these are actually, like, playable. Obviously, there's that one. This one is probably fine. It has Embalm, so sure. I don't know if that's playable. I don't know if that's playable. Maybe that's playable. This is playable. This is... I mean, that's playable. That's technically playable in certain decks. Obviously, that's playable. That's fine. A lot of black. A few red ones that seem okay. And actually some decent green ones. And she's with blue though. And there weren't like they're okay. There were some okay blue ones. Just what, blue, red, white? But you miss out on green, which is the issue. Like with her. You miss out on some of the good green cycles. I need to paint my nails tomorrow. Anyway, I appreciate everyone for hanging out. Would like to thank my lovely patrons, especially Zen, for continued support. If you'd like to join them supporting the show, you'll find links down in the description below. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, go and tap that like button, add subscription to Manipool, cast a comment in the comment section down below, pass the turn of the vid, send me friends, and of course, until next time, I will be one.